Ghana's major markets, Agbogloshi, where just one of these basic ingredients now costs 10 cedis and above.
Now 1.5. 5.2. Oil 6 million.
Plus, why does economist Dr. Ishmael Yamson struggle to sleep at night?
If anybody asks me what keeps me awake in the night, I'll tell you it's the Ghanaian economy. I've never seen anything like this, probably in the past 40 years.
We're live in Parliament as well as the House prepares for the mid-year budget review next week. Also, flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, says he will set up a commission of inquiry to investigate looted state lands if he's elected president.
The lands are for all of us Ghanaians. They take the lands and say they are going to use them for projects, but they end up selling them to their cronies.
But Lands and Natural Resources Minister refutes claims of ongoing transaction of sale of Dubois Centre and other state lands. He vows he will not allow any land looting under his watch.
No transaction relates to Dubois Centre. That no sale or no lease or no grant or no rights have been created in respect of Dubois Centre.
And Ghana risks losing its beacon of democracy status as the latest Afrobarometer identifies media stifling and erosion of accountability of institutions under President Akufo-Addo.
These are things that tells you really what people are thinking. And our surveys are aimed at giving information to inform policy, inform discussion, inform intervention.
But government is strongly fighting off the tag of stifling the media.
It's not a full representation of what the Ghanaian people are thinking and saying. When they conclude by stating that the president and Akufo-Addo has gone increasingly heavy-handed, stifling the media and eroding accountability to institutions, it's not what is representative. I would ask for him to render an apology on this conclusion.
We have sports.
Hearts of Oak are embarking on a massive overhaul as 17 players are set to leave the club.
That and more in this afternoon's edition of the Midday News. I am Emefa. Apawu, please do stay on for details. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. This afternoon we are focusing on the high cost of living, the dwindling economy, plus the increasing cost of basic ingredients on the market. I'll take you live to the Agbogloshi market shortly. But first, let's focus on economist Dr. Ishmael Yamson. He's expressed deep concern over the worsening economic crisis in the country, describing it as the most challenging period for businesses in decades. Speaking on Joy News PM Express Business Edition, he said the current economic downturn gives him nightmares, leaving him awake at night. He said the local currencies nosedive against major international currencies. The unpredictable business environment are all making business planning difficult.
I think for me it's been just one word. It's been tumultuous. The last 6 months has been quite unsettling, quite volatile, and very difficult for business. I can say for certainty that I've never seen anything like this, probably in the past 40 years.
That is interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Because they give us the indicator to show that, yes, it was bad. You know, we are seeing all those. What makes you compare this to the 80s where people cannot even get a good meal to eat?
Look at the depreciation of the city. The city depreciated an all-time high just last month, June. And I thought maybe we'll begin to see some improvement.
Yeah.
But the city continues to depreciate. For businesses, this probably is the most difficult time that Ghanaian businesses have faced. This is a completely unpredictable economy that we have today. And for me, the most difficult aspect is that you can't even see, either from government or from anybody, a real effort to change direction. If you were a businessman in this economy today, George, you probably would sleep with nightmares. And it's been quite tough, particularly for manufacturers. I spent 38 years in Unilever. I can tell you that it's a very difficult period. because you don't know, you have no control over your cost. Absolutely no control over your cost. If anybody asks me what keeps me awake in the night, I'll tell you it's the Ghanaian economy.
So that's Dr. Ishmael Yamson there speaking on PM Express Business Edition, speaking on a wide range of issues with George Riafe. Available on all our social media platforms. You can catch the full interview. So with that tone set, though, I've been asking you earlier, when was the last time you bought onions, tomatoes or pepper? These are basic ingredients. And the issues also about high cost of living has come up. He's been setting the tone on dwindling economy. Let me take you live to one of Ghana's major markets, Agbogloshi. And my colleague, Mamiesi Nyameche Thompson, has been trying to shop and join others to do same and finding out about the situation in the market. Mamiesi, tell me, what was on your shopping list?
So, Emefa, ingredients like onions, pepper, tomatoes, you need these ingredients for basic dishes. I mean, it's the basic ingredients you need for any dish. And I'll tell you, there aren't any significant changes in prices. So for pepper, for instance, we have a variety of peppers. We have greens, we have red, we have yellow. And the yellow is the most expensive, and you are going for about 20 cedis for the margarine tin. That's how we call it on the market. So most of the women know what I'm talking about. The margarine tin is going for 20 cedis. And for the normal peppers, that is the green and the reds, at least you need 10 cedis. Initially, when you could take 5 cedis and buy some pepper and cook with it, is no longer the case. You can't go below that. Okay. And even if you're going to go below that, it will not be enough for a hearty meal that you want to prepare for yourself and your family. And I've been speaking to some customers who have had to adjust their budgets, and also some of them have to get it on credit. For those who have made friends with traders in the market, we'll have to talk to them to get it on credit and also substitute it. But one interesting thing I've also been learning about is that the prices of tomato has slightly come down. So initially, the bucket or the market of tomatoes, which was selling somewhere about 2,000 Ghana cedis sometime about a month ago, has now come down to about 1,500 cedis. And so we've been talking to some customers who still say the prices are still on the high side.
Market in America,
I sell cooked rice. This bag of rice was selling at 150 cedis, but it's now 520 cedis. Oil is 600 cedis, and a box of tomatoes is now selling at 6,000 cedis. This has never happened before. People don't even buy our food anymore. I just asked for onions, but I couldn't buy them, so I returned. The bag is now selling at 1,500 cedis.
I
have to take out a loan every time to buy the ingredients I need for my business. Things are really expensive. The president should do something.
Well, so these are some shoppers that Mamiesi you interacted with. So you've told me about Pakposhito and Ojengma, the types of pepper. You've talked about onions and then tomatoes as well. But we're told that onions is in the lean season as well. What exactly did you find? And I'm interested in hearing from the traders themselves. What have they been telling you about the prices and what they can do about it?
Indeed, Emefa. So onions are slightly going up in the market. This is because we are currently in the lean season. The season is going to be over in about 3 months' time. And they tell me, I spoke to one of the onion bosses in the Apawu market, and he's been telling me that the onions they are bringing in from Niger and Nigeria is going to go out. And so now, if you're going to the market to buy onions, you are buying it at least 20 cedis. It's going to go as high as 60 cedis until eventually it comes down when the season comes in again.
Well, that's my colleague, Mamisi Nyamiche Thompson. You'll want to look out for her report subsequently on the Joy News channel. Also will be available on all our social media platforms and myjoyonline.com. You heard her talk about her interaction earlier with peasant farmers, and they are pushing the Ministry of Agriculture to provide essential resources to boost local onion farming due to a sharp increase in import prices from Niger and other African countries. Here's the national president of the Peasant Farmers Association, Wepia Apawu Adugwala Ado.
I've been complaining about the price of onion and tomatoes. People are still importing onion from Niger and Nigeria. This is where we are getting onion from. We have a number of onion farmers who've been at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, and we are seeking support for these farmers to be able to grow enough onion to feed this nation. Because the nations we are importing this onion from, if you look at it, it's quite interesting. Niger compared to Ghana in terms of vegetation and fertile land, Ghana should not be importing onion from Niger. And this is happening, and we have the capacity that the onion farmers are ready, any kind of support that they will get from the government, they are ready to receive it and be able to grow enough onion so that Ghana can become self-sufficient when it comes to onion production.
What's your own experience in the market? You can hit us with a hashtag Midday News on X Spaces. Now let's go to Parliament, and Minister of Finance, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, will present the mid-year review of the budget on Tuesday, July 22. Well, Deputy Majority Leader Patricia Pieje announced this during the presentation of the business statement.
Committee has programmed the Ministers for Finance to present a statement on the mid-year review of budget statement and economic policy of government for the 2024 financial year on Tuesday, the 23rd of July 2024. And Mr. Speaker, the Business Committee looks forward to a lively and well-informed comment on the statement by members for the following 3 days. And in order to afford many members opportunity to comment on the statement, the committee has proposed time allotment. Majority and minority leaders 30 minutes, chairpersons, ranking members of committee 15 minutes, and all other honorable members 10 minutes.
That's the Deputy Majority Leader, Patricia Pieje. Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kweku Asante joins us live on the line with other happenings in the House. And we're expecting EC Chairperson Jean Mensah to brief members on the 2024 elections. Is that happening soon?
Well, yes, the EC Chairperson itself hasn't arrived, but we understand a team from the Electoral Commission and advance team have already arrived in Parliament ahead of that briefing. And our understanding is that there's a conversation ongoing now as to whether or not that conversation must be held in the public or must be held behind closed doors. Yesterday, the indication was that it will be in the form of a committee of the whole. And so the House will break down into a committee of the whole session, and then the Electoral Commission chairperson and her deputies will brief the House. But now the conversation is whether or not that should be in the public or not. And that is the conversation they are having ahead of the EC chairperson herself and the team arriving in Parliament. But on the floor now, there have been concerns about certain reports that have delayed. Mind you, about a year ago, Parliament agreed to investigate the National Cathedral project. They also agreed to look into the spillage of the Akosombo Dam. The majority side are yet to submit names to form that inquiry. Kusa Blakwa has been raising those issues on the floor of the House, as well as the Shaman alleged military brutality. The Defense and Interior Committee did do a work on that. They presented a report to the House, but it hasn't been taken. The minority are asking the government side to put those motions before the floor so that a debate can happen.
That's Parliamentary Affairs Correspondent Kweku Asante there, giving us updates on what's happening in Parliament. It's time for us to get into the election headquarters shortly, but we've been hearing also from a founding member of the ruling New Patriotic Party, Dr. Nyahu Tamaklo, warning any person who will try to stop what he describes as a wind of change in 2024 elections to desist from such acts. According to him, the current economic situation and general dissatisfaction among the Ghanaian populace is fueling this wind of change.
There's only one thing I will say. Just as the lecturer said last time, I know there will be a change, but who will lead it, I don't know. Definitely, my party in government now will not be there. There will be a change, but woe unto anyone, and let me say this, who will try to block that change. If they did, what will happen in this country, they will never forget, even if they will live to see, because people are really annoyed. And when people are annoyed and they are angry, you listen to them. and you leave the scene to cool off their tempers. It is quite clear. Even so-called, what do you call it? What was the name they give to them? Those who can assess the situation. Posters. Show clearly. I'm yet to see one that will say the present party, my party will come to power. Even Kumasi now, Ashanti region, they shouldn't forget themselves. We used to have solid control at that place. Solid. I use the word solid. But as the years came by, our percentages have been coming down. Now, right now, I think we have about 70-something%, 72 or so. We could fall one there. So that will tell you something. Now, if we are going to have election tomorrow, Alan Tremanten is going to have a huge portion of the votes there. And there are people in our party who are not happy because Bawumia is leading from that place. Yes, if people cannot talk, I know how to talk.
And that's Dr. Nyaho Tamaklo. We stay in the election headquarters. And it's proudly possible by petrol saw clean fuel in full quantity. SIMA, the Chartered Institute of Management Accountants, SIMA, AICP and SIMA together as the Association of International Certified Professionals, Chopbox Technologies, a convenience service, Youth Bridge Foundation, Bridging Gaps for Positive Youth Development. And flag bearer of the NDC, John Dramani Mahama, says he will set up a commission of inquiry to investigate and return looted state lands to its original owners if he's elected president. Speaking during a tour of the Adenton constituency, he talked about establishing a National Women's Bank to give women soft loans to enable them to trade. Maxwell Agbagba has more.
Some students and first-time voters at the University of Ghana singing to welcome the NDC flag bearer to campus.
He's going to do it, and he's going to do it again. The government has failed us. Like F9 failed. F9 failed. Failed. Not even E8. F9 failed.
Here in the Adenton constituency, specifically at the Adenton market, the women welcomed him with songs. John Mahama talked about establishing a National Women's Bank to give women soft loans for business.
2,000
He said most women do not even get 2,000 or 1,000 Ghana cedis to trade. That is why when the NDC is voted into power, we will set up a bank dedicated to women. We will call it the National Women's Bank. It does not matter what business you're engaged in. That bank will give you the loans to do business, he said. During an interaction with the clergy and traditional leaders, he said he will set up a commission of inquiry to investigate and return looted state lands to the original owners.
Now, I was say, Omufia Baimu, Nagana, 14 Bisa, Omonsem, say, Yensasi, Amoche, why not toss answer, and then I say, Mayor Commission of Inquiry.
He said they have to leave government so Ghanaians can ask them questions about the lands they sold and who bought the lands. All the lands they sold, they will answer the questions.
The
lands are for all of us Ghanaians. Many of the lands are for chiefs, and then they take the lands and say they are going to use them for projects. But they end up selling them to themselves and their cronies.
Maxwell Agbagba's report. Well, but speaking earlier on the Super Morning Show, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo has been responding to the issues about the sale of some state lands. He insists that government officials are not looting state lands.
This and that state capture. The government is looting our lands and the rest. I think that there is a desperate attempt to replay 2008, where there was this deliberate effort by the political actors of the time to create the impression that the government of the MPP government of the time was looting public lands and therefore quit indigenous of Accra against the government. And when they came into government in 2009, what happened? What did we see? With the greatest of respect, what I do is that I deal with records. And the repository of records relating to lands is the Lands Commission. And the records at the Lands Commission and the records that have been furnished me, which are put out, suggest that no transaction relates to the voice center, that no sale or no lease or no grant or no rights have been created in respect of the voice center. I've seen the Honorable Blackman make further allegations and some 50-year lease and all of that. I've asked that they should check it out for me. And when I assemble the facts, I'll put that out. But Winston, renovation doesn't constitute a sale. I mean, if I should point that out.
Talking about those who have bought lands, the feeling I get from Ghanaians is that these are state lands, and so whoever has bought it, the list should be made available for all to see. And I'm sure you wouldn't mind doing that.
I wouldn't mind at all. At all.
That's the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Abujinapo there speaking to Super Morning Show host Winston Namwa. It's a good time to take a quick break here on the Midday News. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM here in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We're also on myjoyonline.com and all 16 regions of Ghana. We are represented there. We are live on X Spaces and on Facebook. The Midday News is supported by Petrol Sol, your clean fuel in full quantity. Petrol Sol is always a delightful experience, and we'll be focusing on the dwindling economy, increasing cost of basic ingredients and the high cost of living. I take you live to one of Ghana's major markets, Agbogbloshe, where just one of these basic ingredients now costs 10 cedis and above. I'm talking about onions, tomatoes, and pepper. We'll return from the break with sports, and Ghana risks losing its beacon of democracy status as the latest Afrobarometer identifies media stifling and erosion of accountability of institutions under President Akufo-Addo.
These are things that tells you really what people are thinking. And our surveys are aimed at giving information to inform what policy, inform discussion, inform intervention.
This is what the Olympics is all about.
Get closer to split-second wins. Closer to history in the making. Closer to your champions.
The greatest athletic achievements of all time.
Get DSTV to get closer to the 2024 Paris Olympic Games from 26 July to 11 August with 9 dedicated channels for the best coverage of every medal and every podium moment. On Supersport on DSTV, your home of entertainment.
When budgets are tight and money difficult to come by, you want to be sure you get the best value for your money. These are not times to be spending money fixing expensive engine problems because of cheap fuel and lubricants. Drive to a Petrosol station today and buy your quality fuel and lubricants, and rest assured of fuel that lasts long and lubricants that prevent expensive engine problems. Hear the sound. Petrosol, clean fuel in full quantity.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah.
Here's to the friends who dialed star 712 hash and found no regrets. To the investors who struck gold. To the health workers who diagnosed luck with precision. To the tough guy who couldn't hold back his tears. To the passionate fan who couldn't contain his joy. To the seamstress who turned her hard-earned stitches into a bundle of happiness. And now, here's to you. Your next big win is right here.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone.
Dial star 712 hash. Now join in the luckiest winning celebration. Every 1st July 2024. Over dial star 712 hash. Now I can to tickets as a group, individual, and now even as a community. Now win is the car cashier. Prizes are cashier in the community draw or go for the grand draw on the 30th of November 2024. Unlock your luck with star 712 hash. Now join in the winning streak now.
The luckiest.
Star 712 hash.
Luck is everywhere. For everyone, yeah. The luckiest.
And the luckiest Mubarak is in the studio.
Thank you very much,
What's
Emefa.
up?
So, your darling club, Hearts of Oak, they are conducting a review of performances and recruitments in preparation for the upcoming season. As a result, they are set to part ways with 17 players, including Richard Atta, Salifu Ibrahim, Enoch Esubontin, and Nuruddin Abdul Aziz. Hearts say they remain committed to enhancing their performance and competitiveness. Before I go, good news for the Black Stars because midfielder Daniel Kofichiro could be available for the AFCON qualifiers in September. The 28-year-old has resumed training with Freiburg ahead of the 2024-25 Bundesliga season. Back to you, Emefa.
Thank you very much, Mubarak. Enjoy your weekend. Now, let's focus on the dangers of some children having to cross major highways in order to get access to education. Today, I'm taking you to the Citadel International Academy, and children there are raising concerns and fears as drivers speed by without care on the Kaneshi-Odoko Highway. My colleague, Jacqueline and Sumayeboa, has been to the area. Here's a report.
These school children, some as young as 5-year-old, are lucky today. They have been provided with a lollipop stand to help them cross this road safely, thanks to the Accident Victim Support Foundation, an NGO helping make the road safe for children in Ghana.
We looked at the number of children that we support as accident victim support over the years. Let's say the past 8 years, we've supported a lot of children who had their injuries from either going to school or coming back from school. And so interrogating those children, we realized that they have no knowledge about road safety, i.e. where to cross.
2 years ago, a pupil who was attempting to cross this road did not make it as careless drivers speeding on this highway tragically knocked him down.
Unless you ask an adult to help you cross the road, unless you will die on the roadside. Some children, little children like 2 years and 4 years, cross the road by themselves. It's not safe for us.
Yes, sometimes it's unsafe. Then you'll have to wait until all the cars part before you have to cross. Even when you want to even cross, some of them, they ignore you. They don't even want to mind you. Sometimes I ask the grown-ups to help me to cross because they are moving so fast.
But the risk of that happening again have been significantly reduced following the provision of this lollipop stand. The children were given a mock test to familiarize themselves with a new traffic tool. This test almost turned into a real-life scenario when a motorcycle came dangerously close to hitting the back of one of the cars.
That's Jacqueline and Suma Yeboah's report. Now, Ghana's reputation as a beacon of democracy in Africa is under threat, and the country risks losing the status if urgent action is not taken to address the challenges. According to the latest Afrobarometer, democracy at risk, people's perspectives, there's a growing trend of media stifling and erosion of accountability in public institutions. Well, we can hear from Mavis Zupok Domi, is the national investigator of Ghana Afrobarometer Service at CDD Ghana.
These have been ongoing discussions, which right now we have gotten to a point where Ghana, at least we have gotten somewhere, but we still need, over time, we need citizens' view into policies. The second statement is it legitimate for the armed forces to take over control of the government when elected leaders abuse power to their own end? We have 55% saying army should never intervene, and we have 40% saying they can intervene. These are things that tells you really what people are thinking. And our surveys are aimed at giving information to inform what policy, inform discussion, inform intervention. So if you say we are rather creating incitement, this is already evident that these are what are on people's mind, and there is a need for us to start discussing around these issues. So,
well, we've been hearing also from the government spokesperson on governance and security, Palgrave Boachi Dankwa. He says the report is creating unnecessary fear and panic, taking us to MNJ in terms of what people are talking about. Guess who is here? Shola Adeyemi. What's up? What are people talking about?
Hi, Emefa. Today, MNJ they've taken a little trip to the Bahamas, so I'm filling in for them.
You took them
to
the Bahamas?
Yeah. I took them to the Bahamas.
What about me?
Next week we will go.
Okay.
All right. So, Emefa, how has the network situation been in the newsroom today? Is everything working fine? fast.
Really, it's not too fast.
Oh, right now, let me explain why that happened. So there's a mass IT outage that has affected airlines, media, and the banks all over the world. So if you're in Ghana today and your network is not working fast, please bear with them. Microsoft is really working on it, but social media is reacting to that, and I'll take a few of the comments. Now, Sahu says corporate employees thanking that one person because of what Microsoft is doing. Also, another one is that my flight was cancelled for a minute. It was chaotic, but seems to be under control. Yes, for a minute. No, that's why she's not complaining too much. So at least she's thanking Microsoft because they said they are working on it. Now let me make your weekend Emefa. IC and Walasi are dropping a new song. It's called Everyday People. We play a little game. So yes.
I said all things are possible. To him that believes.
And that's how we end today's edition of the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Living Word with Pastor Mensa Otabil. Faith without works is dead. Episode 3. I am Emefa Apawu. Make sure you catch News File tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on Joy 99.7 FM, Joy News Channel, also on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. Catch Samson Ladi and Yenene. You can't miss it.
For my able and free.